Mesut Ozil, a conundrum faced by Unai Emery, Freddie Ljungberg, and now Mikel Arteta, all deciding to deal with it in different ways. After being frozen out for long periods of time by Unai Emery, it looks like Mikel Arteta has been the only Arsenal manager in recent times strong enough to keep his word and keep Mesut Ozil from his plans. This comes after his exclusion from the Europa League and Premier League squads. So, where are we now? In this video, I will explain why Mesut Ozil was left out of the Premier League and Europa League Arsenal squads. His initial exclusion by Mikel Arteta doesn't seem to be because of his China comments that Muslims were detained without trial. As a result of this, Ozil was actually removed from PES 2020 in China, and Arsenal versus Man City was removed from the TV schedule. But again, after these comments, Ozil started Arsenal's next 10 Premier League games until the COVID suspension. So, although this may be a reason, I think it's a very, very small factor. That doesn't leave much as to why, well, no one knows the real story as to why a 350k per week player is not in the squad and would arguably make a difference to our creative issues. The way I see it is that Mikel Arteta has had to deal with a lot of nonsense without even being at Arsenal as manager for a year. You look at the Ozil situation, the Xhaka situation, the Guendouzi, Socrates won the Torreira homesickness, and also he's had to deal with Arsenal fans who are just desperate for success. We're searching for success now after, since 2004 was our last Premier League title. The fan base has become even more reactionary, and there's been, over the top reactions to things. So when light was shed on kind of the situation when Ozil came out and his agent came out, it shed a dim light on the situation, but it kind of opens up a new discussion. And really, this is where I'm going to try and show you why Mesut Ozil was left out. Before I say this, it's my opinion, and no one will know the truth until maybe years in the future. This is my opinion, and I think this is the reason. But don't take it over the top and don't pledge it. That's the message I really want out of this. And whatever you think, the reason is this Mesut Ozil situation is so sad, and it should never have ended like this. So Ozil's comments that he wrote on Instagram and Twitter, he basically said he was very disappointed after the decision of his exclusion from the squads, as he's been playing really well before the COVID break, and the real damning, hard-hitting lines. No one really knows who this was directed at. He said loyalty is hard to come by nowadays, but he still loves Arsenal, and will work as hard as possible to change things around and get back into squads if that is possible. And this is his first vocal statement really on the whole situation. And then his agent came out shortly after, and his agent came out and said that Mikel Arteta had not been fair with Mesut Ozil at all. This came after Mikel Arteta saying that he was the one that failed Ozil by not getting the best out of him, but he did give him a fair chance, according to Mikel Arteta. And the decision was not from the board or politics. So we see contrasting opinions straight away here. The reason why it's difficult is because both have sort of plausible evidence to back up both their claims. You see, Mesut Ozil, he was given a fair chance if you look at it from Mikel Arteta. Since Arteta was there, he played in all the games in the Premier League and started, like I said, the last 10 before the COVID suspension. Then if you look at it from Ozil's point of view, he is entitled to see out his contract, first of all. And, on a superficial level, he has been loyal to his contract. He's also turned down bigger offers from Al Sadd in Saudi Arabia and in Turkey from Fenerbahce and Galatasaray and Besiktas as well. So this conundrum is a mess, but it's not just the takes that people think about it, just like, oh, Mesut Ozil is this and that, or Arteta's being harsh. The way I look at it is that I trust Mikel Arteta, and the previous Arsenal managers in recent times haven't instilled this confidence in me. Arteta has recently had a press conference, today in fact, before the Leicester match, He said you have to be honest and create a culture where everyone is accountable. And these are the values that Arteta has built kind of his reign so far of just under a year at Arsenal. He's built the Arsenal squad around these core values. And this kind of leads to my opinion after this so many mixed signals. I believe it's the board that's told Mikel Arteta to not play Mesut Ozil. 100k of Mesut Ozil's contract comes from playing, and basically the Arsenal board want to pressurise him, frustrate him, and get him off the books. And it's because it's ended so abruptly. With Arteta's team selection, he was saying how happy he was with Ozil's performances post COVID break, and then it ended so suddenly. So the board, I think, wants him out. I think that's pretty clear, to be honest. And now maybe Arteta wants him out. I think it definitely hasn't worked with the board's decision, because Ozil has said he's going to honour his contract and stay until the end. So it's a really, really difficult one and very confusing. But like I said, I back Arteta, and it's really hard to say otherwise now because no one has been inside training. No one see if there's been any bust ups, arguments, this and that. So, like I said, the whole situation is a complete and utter mess. But my opinion is that the board is the leading factor to this. There might be other factors, like Wenger said in his interview with Sky Sports, saying the game has left Ozil behind, and Arteta's high intensity style of play. Although I feel personally that the languid, lazy narrative pushed on Ozil is very harsh. Um, he's not an intense player, certainly, though Mesut Ozil, and the game has in some ways left him behind. Again, you look at his creative numbers and his contribution numbers; they have severely declined over the last 2 years, since basically he signed his contract in 2018. I think the board want Mesut Ozil out, and this is the way they're not playing him. It's easy to jump on the bandwagon and call for Mesut Ozil's freedom and that he would be the sole source of redemption to Arsenal's creative problems. That's not the case. But I really do back Mikel Arteta. And if you look at what he said, reasonably, he has been fair with Mesut Ozil. He's given him a chance. And although maybe his performance levels were quite good, something has happened. I think he's been told by the board to not play him. And then the agent is hitting back at Arteta for saying he's the manager, he should make these type of decisions, take a stance. He shouldn't be influenced by the board. Um, Arteta is 1 year into his Arsenal job almost, but he's not even 1 year into his coaching first manager role. So he's had to deal with a lot of things as Arsenal manager, and with he's dealt with them really well. He's shown a bravery and courage actually to come through. So the Ozil situation is something that bores me. It's gone on for way too long, but I had to say this because whatever opinion you take, don't go over the top with it because no one will know. However, having said that, I really do believe that the main factor is the board. That's why Ozil hasn't been playing. But we will realistically find this out years to come, and I just want people to move on because if Arsenal are gonna move on and progress, these sort of issues shouldn't be getting blown up and augmented, if you like. At the moment, Ozil will probably have played his last game for Arsenal. And like I said, I back Arteta, and he's instilled this in me with the values he's put in the club already. So that's why Mesut Ozil has been left out, I believe. That's where we are now, and it's a really, really sad way to end.